All right, we can start. Sorry for that logistics mistakes here. Oh, okay. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm really excited to see you all here from all around the world. I am Chong. I'm a PhillyCHI board, PhillyCHI chair for 2020. Welcome everyone for this awesome event. So this is the 14th time that we do Design Challenge, Design Slam. And this is in the 10th annual Philly Tech Week series. So PhillyCHI, Philly Design Slam is one of our biggest events of the year. And we keep it really close to our hearts. We, even though we navigate through this really specific, like interesting time, but we are really excited and proud that we can pull it off and carry on our traditions today. Tonight is a really special night because not only is this the first time we do like remote design slam ever, but this year is our 15th anniversary. So we've been here for 15 years, boys and girls. It's also like really beautiful that all of us as a UX practitioner can come together from all around the world with different backgrounds, come here and join in and solve a real design challenge that we have presented by our partner BuildaBridge. Is it lovely? For me, I'm a big fan. So without further ado, we want to welcome you to PhillyCHI, and then we're excited to okay, where's that noise? We are excited to see you here, and before that, let's Ben, or content brand strategist, I kick it off by telling you a bit about who we are and what's the event look like.
Yeah, thanks, Chong. Hi, everyone. I'm Ben. If you're not familiar, PhillyCHI's purpose is to connect the local UX community in Philadelphia by organizing monthly educational and networking events. This year, almost all of them have been virtual. So that's been a challenge and exciting. This is some of our mission statement and kind of what guides our work. We're dedicated to knowledge sharing and building a strong UX community for Philadelphia. We're also dedicated to cultivating a respectful environment. So if you see any unacceptable behavior during this event, you can feel free to chat us in the Zoom feature or email phillychi@gmail.com. You can also be sure to follow us on our social media channels at PhillyCHI on Twitter and at PhillyCHI_UX on Instagram. So now I'll hand it off to Michelle to go over logistics.
Awesome, thanks Ben. Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I'm the social media strategist for PhillyCHI. All of the tweets and IG posts are me saying hey. So Zoom logistics, so first, you'll be muted and your video will be off by default. Please use the chat for general discussion and comments. Number 3, Ami from BuildaBridge will present and then slammers will be placed in breakout rooms, and we'll come back around to that and with more details. Number 4 is when slammers go into breakout rooms, observers will stay in the general room for the Ask Me Anything chat. And lastly, this event will be recorded and shared online. Tonight's schedule is going to start off with opening remarks as we are in now. We're going to present the challenge at 6:40. At 7 o'clock, it will be slam time. Slammers will be put into different breakout rooms to work together on the solution. And 8 o'clock will be presentations, which will be 3 minutes apiece, with a 1.5-minute Q&A following. And then at 8:50, winners will be announced and closing remarks will be made by the PhillyCHI team. And I will pass it over to Lorraine.
Hi everyone, I am Lorraine and the treasurer of PhillyCHI. Here on this slide, you'll see all of our board members, and we wanted to let you know that if you are interested in joining the board for 2021, look out for an application that we'll send out about that. We'd like to shout out to our 2020 annual sponsors and say thank you for sponsoring our events. And special shout out to O3 World in this case, who helped us plan and execute this event, as well as letting us leverage some of their tools like Miro. And then as usual, at the end of the night, we're going to be raffling off 3 books from our generous sponsor, Rosenfeld. We will be selecting 3 winners, and after the event, we'll reach out to you for your address so we can ship these books to you.
Alrighty. Oops, turn my camera back on. So Michelle again, just if you find yourself wanting to tweet or post to Instagram, these are the hashtags for this evening. One of them being PTW 2020, the other one being Design Slam 2020. Alrighty, so we're so excited to finally introduce you to our 2020 Design Slam partner, BuildaBridge, and I will hand it over to Ami for your piece of the presentation.
Great, Michelle. Thank you so much. It is really, really exciting to be a part of this community. This is a brand new community for BuildaBridge to be a part of. And so I'm really excited to see what happens after these relationships have been established, and to hear about the creative UX design ideas that come out of this. And with me tonight are Zain Hassanein and Natalie Sarin. Natalie Sarin has been a long time associate and employee with BuildaBridge, an intern. She's now working with Main Street Ministry, but she's also an incredibly accomplished singer-songwriter. That style of music draws from her birthplace of Haiti and its interaction with, I guess, all the other musical forces in her lives. And Zain Hassanein is a music therapist and musician by way of Egypt, and an incredible asset to BuildaBridge. He has this clinical background that has really been helping BuildaBridge do a lot of new programming, especially in self-care, that we will learn about in a little bit in the course of the presentation. And so between Zain and Natalie and myself, we cover a lot of ground in terms of how BuildaBridge operates, and the 3 of us will be available to answer all sorts of questions in the course of the evening if you have any. And without further ado, let's jump into this presentation. So basically, BuildaBridge believes that art making can transform lives. It's not just about the idea of art for the sake of art, but art is an incredible holistic catalyst for processes to change the human experience. And so BuildaBridge focuses on this as our mission, and we look at the arts as a way of increasing and fostering resilience, self-efficacy, and literally hopeful visions for the future. We're an arts and education intervention organization. Our mission engages creative people in the transformative power of art making to bring hope and healing to individuals and communities in need. BuildaBridge dedicates its resources to building the capacity of communities to fulfill this vision. BuildaBridge envisions a world where art making fosters resilience, self-efficacy, and hope-infused visions for the future. And again, it's a way of flattening the hierarchy. We're not here to impose our belief, but to share our belief in the power of art making. And so we try to give people the opportunity to be and do on their own terms, and we just provide the literal safe space to be able to do that. The organization began in 1997. It was established primarily as a volunteer organization through Eastern University. We've touched thousands of people's lives, both in terms of doing direct service providing, working with people on the actual art making, but also teaching people about the philosophy behind BuildaBridge and giving people across the world the opportunity to design their own BuildaBridge influenced programs. And the idea is that art making is so powerful that there's a form of equity involved in it, that giving people access to it and helping people access it is a way to embolden their imagination and creativity to be change makers and to be able to change their lives and the lives of others around them. Imagination is absolutely critical to the quality of our lives. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk is one of the foremost experts in trauma care and describing the effects of trauma. And currently in COVID, trauma is something that has become much more widespread. Our mental well-being and how we're impacted by isolation, by social distancing, by the physical stresses created by first-line responders, as well, and just in general that, you know, for us to make it through this time, imagination is essential, hope is essential, to be able to create points in the future to look forward to, help us navigate the present much better. So all of you, to give you an idea of who we work with and what the importance is, I want you to take a look at your hand. And on this hand, the first thing I want to have you think about is the I have. And this is the people outside of yourself, you know, your community. And if you want, in the chat box, I invite you to write who are the people that are important to you in your world. Who are those that impact you? And please share that, and let's see what we have in that. So friends and family, spouse, mentors, great. My mom, my parents, family and friends, healthcare workers, community, peers, wife, my doctors, other small business owner, co-founders, anyone who can help me, spouses and mentors. These are all incredible external resources that we depend on. So let's go to the next phase of this. I want you to think of the I can, women who are inspirational that follow in tech. The I cans, what can you do? What do you do? I know most of you are involved in UX, so that's a start, but what abilities do you have that make you you? Laughter, yes, that's great. Laughter is so important. Dance, painting, good listener, I can draw, my intellect. Spread positivity, creativity, design. Kickboxing teacher, whew. Listening, holding space, vulnerability. Journalism, storytelling, I bring order to chaos. Wow, skiing championship, I'd like to hear more about that. Helping people, rapper, empathize. Great, these are all ways that you can identify your abilities, and this is so critical to how we look at ourselves. Tutor, educator, teaching. Now, the last thing, I am. Who are you? How do you look at yourself and define yourself? What's your identity? A motivator. I've got lots of layers. Human, an artist. Physician who designs, helper. Aspiring UX designer, an optimist, small biz supporter. Storyteller, a nerd. Code switcher, immigrant. And these are all beautiful ways to see ourselves, problem solver. And now, if you can imagine this now, I want you to hold your hand up for a moment. Now, a lot of times the people that we're working with, their hand is shut or partially open because a traumatic experience or hardship, especially with trauma, takes away your external and internal resources that make you you. Your expectations are shattered. If it comes from interpersonal abuse, if it comes from forced migration as a refugee, from political disruptions in your society, and what our job in BuildaBridge is to try to open this hand through art making, and so people can be the most complete person, their truest self that they can be. And this is something that came through Dr. Vivian Nix Early and Nathan Corbett, who are the founders of BuildaBridge, and this is called the resilience hand. And so if we know this hand is opening, we know that we're doing our job. So speaking of trauma, this is kind of an image of an illustration, a conceptualization of what trauma can be construed as. What do you all see in this picture right now? Broken, scattered brain, anxiety, fragmented, trauma, shattered, fractures, fragmented memories, big headache, brain damage, shattered, something I've been through, hurt, exploded, disarray. So these are all really great characterizations that this image can create. And so literally trauma can create a fractalization of how our neurons, of how our brain communicates to our body and how our body communicates to our brain. But you notice that a lot of the pieces are still there. And one of the things I have to make really clear about BuildaBridge is that, you know, we don't cure trauma and hardship. We heal from trauma and hardship. These things are things that we want people to be able to to grow from, to learn from, to pass through. But most importantly, that we're not a clinical organization. We don't look at people's deficiencies and weaknesses. That that person might theoretically have a feeling like this inside of them or be experiencing things, and it's our job in BuildaBridge to use the arts as a healing tool, as a tool to bolster people, to sometimes somebody else's belief is something that one person can attach to. So us as mentors believing in the participants is something that's truly important to our methodology. So moving on, this is why art making is so important. And one of the things that I really preach about when it comes to talking about art making is reconceptualizing how we look at the expressive arts in society. And in society, it's often avocation versus vocation. Like, to succeed in the arts, you're expected to exhibit, to perform, to act, to make money from it. Or it's something you do on the side. And we all know right now, with COVID and quarantining and social isolation, it's very hard to make space for hobbies. I know personally I'm affected by this. And so I kind of want, well, BuildaBridge as a whole, we want to see the arts become a more integral part of society, and not for the sake of money making or the economy, but for the idea of well-being. You know, it's a great story that in Bhutan, instead of talking about the GDP as the quality of life, they talk about the well-being and the ability to be and do, which is something that comes from a form of moral philosophy called the capabilities approach, and judging a society for how much opportunity people have to be that they can do, to be and do. And so art making, we think, is one of the best ways to be able to go about doing this. Now, the way we do this, I've been speaking very ambiguous about what we do. I want to jump into really how every workshop that we do is truly modeled. And Natalie and Zane both implement this, and Natalie teaches people how to use this model, and Zane is very good at implementing this model as well. And so the idea is the BuildaBridge's Safe Spaces model is a trauma-informed, strength-based, and person-centered teaching philosophy and practice that fosters resilient self-efficacy and hope-infused visions of the future. Like I said, this model is the framework for every BuildaBridge workshop. And so the components of it are the following: is that a threshold is created. The space that we occupy is very, very important. It's a place, literally, it has to be a safe place. So if they're doing this in the field somewhere after a natural disaster has occurred, that space has to be cleared and made welcoming in a way. If we're working in a classroom, we kind of change that archaic classroom model of the teacher standing in front and the chairs being as an audience, and that classroom, maybe the chairs are put in a circle, maybe we decorate the door. And there's different ways of manifesting a comfortable place that people can occupy together. And then we always begin with some singing. As you know, singing is a great way to release some inner stresses, and also it's a way to get to know one another through a name game and being able to sing. And also this idea of an organizing rhythm is literally, figuratively and literally, a way to organize the unorganized. And so this rhythm is a unifying beat that we all share in. We do a series of affirmations called a motto that every workshop entails. And like I said earlier, that sometimes saying an affirmation or saying a positive thing that you may not necessarily believe is a way of projecting maybe a future vision of the self. And so we say these affirmations as a way of letting ourselves believe that for a moment. We say that together. And then we have agreements, you know, depending if we're working with adults or children, but, you know, what are the ground rules that we lay there in terms of respect? We're not talking over one another. We're trying to support one another. And these are all things that we can go back to, because this is what frames us. This is what gives us comfort and expectations to be able to be and do, like I said earlier. We do a pre-activity to warm people up. Sometimes it's singing, maybe it's sketching, maybe it's another movement activity. And then we get into the heart of the activity, which I will explain a little bit more in depth. But this is the art making, and this is like the heart of BuildaBridge, in that an artistic skill is taught in an applied fashion. So maybe it's watercolor, maybe it's figure sketching, maybe it's collage, maybe it's clay working. But additionally, there's also a socio-emotional learning aspect to it, as well as an academic aspect to it. And so in this idea, we're really showing and showcasing the holistic power of what it is to work with BuildaBridge. But at the end of the day, it's this art making is a metaphor. And this metaphor is something that's bigger than the workshop, bigger than the classroom. It's a place where really we want people to take away a life skill. So it's not just art for the sake of making art or art for the sake of making a product. It's really this process, and how does this process teach us about life? And then lastly, we have a closing, and I'll show you that closing in just a little bit. So moving on, I want to go into this art as a metaphor idea. And that, so art as a metaphor, when we start to finish our programming, and unlike my presentation, our programming is kind of divided into 70-30. 70% of a program should be the art making itself. And then the 30% is split between the instruction and the closing, and kind of a discussion like this of what did we just take away from this, this experience of art making. And so we're able to use the art making to have breakthrough conversations, to be able to complement the trauma-aware framework that we have, this idea of talking about the art, talking about the expectation, talking about the experience and relating it to ourselves, this atmosphere of curiosity. And again, this curiosity of thinking what's taking place here is a real way of having self-efficacy. And of course, this idea of inviting learning. And we want this to be an engaging place. And so a lot of the times metaphor and understandings and learnings will come from the participants that were beyond the expectations of the facilitator. And that's, again, like flattening the hierarchy and making sure that the participants really have a say in what's taking place. So I want to jump in now as some examples of art as metaphor. And so, you know, using the chat box again, jump in here. How can singing be a metaphor? Hearing what we just heard about for BuildaBridge. And there's no right answer to this, by the way. And so I just threw in some suggestions of how BuildaBridge uses art as a metaphor. So singing, how is singing, what can singing teach us in terms of a life skill? Raising your voice, breath, breathing, speaking your truth. Great. Communicating, being heard, your voice is heard and it matters. Expression, yes. Advocating. And so here we had making your voice heard. Great. Vibrations can help with anxiety. Sometimes I hum while driving. Yes, absolutely. Focus on your breathing as a grounding method. Meditating. Harmonizing. Yes. Harmonizing and singing together. It's also a great way to demonstrate a democratic society, the push and pull of responsibility. Connection. Let's try improvisation, okay? What can improvisation teach us? Maybe we're doing improvisation in a jam session, drumming. Flexibility, trust your instincts, risk-taking, courage, freedom, spontaneity, bravery, resourcefulness, listening, excellent, being independent. I put down here learning to make, excuse me, the grammar's kind of messed up, making adjustments in the moment, adaptability, yes, exactly, being present, identity. Living is improvising every day, I feel like, you know, not everything goes as planned, as we are seeing in this day and age. Watercolors. If you've had experience with watercolors, I love watercolors. I am, and also not a great artist when it comes to watercolors, and that's particularly why I enjoy it. Knowing you don't have to be perfect, embracing mistakes, complementary, layering, fluidity. How one thing can be seen multiple ways, how things blend together, going with the flow, trusting the medium, calm. These are beautiful answers. And we have here learning not to be in need of control all the time. That sometimes, you know, when you want to work with a pen or a pencil, you can be very exact in what you're doing. But watercolor has a tendency to move and to have a mind of its own as you're learning how to do that. So another process called rusting. And this is one of my favorite BuildaBridge stories. We had a teaching artist work with women against abuse at a shelter for women who had experienced abuse. And she did a project on rusting and upcycling iron objects. And then through an expedited rusting process using salt water, she would have the participants create silhouettes of these pieces of art. And through these pieces of art, people would be encouraged to write their story around that, or words that reminded them, and to decorate this. And so people would use these upcycled metal objects and create all sorts of collages and colors with this to be a way of taking the internal external. And one of the participants came up with this beautiful, beautiful metaphor that we are beautiful even if we have been hurt. And this was a really striking moment. And this was actually one of the first BuildaBridge programs that I got to witness when I joined in the program, and that the person equated it to, you know, there's iron in the blood of human beings, and that our tears can be salt water. But, you know, a rusted object, you can scratch off that rust and end up seeing the metal as it is. And she equated herself and the people around her as being like this project, but finding beauty and being aware of the beauty despite having some trials and tribulations that were really hurtful in the past. So moving on, here's another one, drawing with a non-dominant hand, and I'll speed up a little bit for the sake of time. Learning to let go and be vulnerable. I don't know if you've ever tried drawing with your non-dominant hand. Drawing plants, you know, in the context of drawing plants, of drawing the roots and leaves and the sky around it and the sun, people need support like plants to grow and flourish. And so we need, like I was talking about the resilience hand, we need those external resources sometimes to help our internal resources. And lastly, one of our last programs working with youth who had been evacuated from Puerto Rico was learning about bachata, a Puerto Rican dance form. And dance is a language in and of itself, and so people that enjoy Latin-based music, bachata can connect you to people all over the world, nationally and internationally. And so these are all ideas of how powerful, I'm sorry, thank you. Bachata was Dominican, I apologize. Thank you for that correction. And so these are all ways of how we can engage, and it's really exciting because the artists are really in power when it comes to writing these curriculums. Drawing from the past, but also inventing programming for the future. So how do we know that our work or how do we manifest our work? And we do it in 3 different ways right now. Through partnership, working with like-minded human resource providers. We do in-house program because of COVID. We provided a lot of online public programming since April. And then lastly, we have professional development. I mentioned that we'd like to share our teaching strategies and pedagogy where we can. And so, like I was mentioning, we'll work with all sorts of organizations. I mentioned Women Against Abuse. We work with Covenant House, a shelter in Mount Airy in Germantown. We just did work with Salvation Army and a shelter for women who experience sex trafficking. The in-house programming spanned visual arts to improv, to learning about BIPOC artists, as well as deep listening, creative writing. And you can find that on our website when you get a chance. And then, as I mentioned, professional development, we'd like to teach about what we do. And we're doing a really wonderful programming right now for human service providers, talking about the arts of self-care and helping people understand the neuroscience of how the arts can be beneficial, but also the experiential of learning breathing strategies, art strategy, visual art strategies, music-based strategies, movement-based strategies to take off some of the pressure that we're experiencing in our lives, and to be able to be aware of the beauty and to find balance and, of course, connection to yourself and one another. So some programming examples, like I said earlier, a movement workshop for sex trafficking survivors, songwriting workshops for homeless youth, visual arts workshops to foster resilience for Latinx youth evacuated from PR after Hurricane Maria, music-based dialogue workshop to teach deep listening, art journaling for the public to process reactions to COVID-19, and creative writing workshops. And we've done yoga as well. The sky's the limit. We truly believe art making is a very expansive medium and idea, and so we try to implement that through our Safe Spices model when possible. And as I mentioned with the professional development, the arts-based self-care, dance-based workshop to promote innovation in classroom learning. This took place in July. It was called Dancing to Transgress. I don't know if you're familiar with Bell Hooks and Paulo Freire, but the idea was, how do we make a democratic learning environment? And dance was the inspiration for that. We teach people how to use our Safe Spaces model, and We're hoping in the fall to have several tracks available, a professional development called Arts and Healing that teaches about the expressive arts therapies, foundations of trauma-informed art making, really the heart and foundation of why we do what we do, arts and education, and the arts of self-care. So how do we know BuildaBridge works? We talk about hopefulness when we evaluate our programming right now. Over 90% of our participants, since we've been doing this form of evaluation since April, have self-reported an increased sense of hopefulness after completing a BuildaBridge workshop. 88 people responded to this evaluation, but we've had probably about between 150 and 200 people participate in our programming since April. This has been a tough lift to do with COVID, drawing people in, and we'll talk more about that. And the intention to return, 92% of these participants will strongly consider returning to a BuildaBridge program. And the other 8% thought they might consider returning, and no one was disappointed. No one at least said that they wanted to not be a part of it. I know statistics can be deceiving at times, but we're proud of these, and I'm looking forward to being able to evaluate how we do our work even better in the future. So lastly, not in my words, I'd like to use the words of some other folks who've experienced, and this was a hopeful program. I appreciated seeing the diversity of performance styles and genres. While some performances had a more personal resonance for me, I appreciated seeing different modes of expression. I took something away from each. That was after a public performance that BuildaBridge did called Tones of Home. Here's another one. This program seemed to help relieve some stress from the attendance in a very difficult time. Art is essential, and having a platform where anyone can be welcomed and is inspired to express themselves is valuable. This program is exactly that. Today was a good exercise for me in growth and trust. This was really fun because I got to express my feelings to some people I didn't know, and I haven't done that in months. I feel good because I like telling other people how I feel about things. This class and giving voice and language to how I feel about the systems I grew up in, and offering guidance of how to proceed in a new way that actually feels authentic. But this is the stuff that's under the skin of BuildaBridge that's tough right now. COVID, our annual budget and capacity. As you know, COVID is really, really difficult. Our participation is about 50% below what it could be. We did some large public programming. We worked with a couple different organizations providing some outdoor performances for World Refugee Day around Easter time, again for Puerto Ricans that have been evacuated, as well as some other programming, and that really contributes to the numbers of people that we touch. We also put a lot of programming on hold. We were supposed to do some violence prevention programming in Southwest Philadelphia. We were supposed to work in Camden at a clinic, providing songwriting and production lessons. And the other issue that we have with COVID is that because of the social distancing and isolation, it is really hard to draw people into programming because of digital burnout. And right now we have not taken steps to do any in-person programming, but we deeply hope we'll be able to do that as soon as humanly possible. And one of the other things is that we're working on is how do we get program retention to increase, that once we do have a person in our program, and you can see after our public programming how excited people were about BuildaBridge, how do we get them to stick around for more programming? Our annual budget is $131,000. Our ideal budget is $500,000. You'll see why in a moment. We really depend on foundation support. We don't have a strong individual donor base, but because of the foundations, we managed to get by. And generally, our participants who we work with generally can't afford to contribute financially. So it's not this kind of program where we're expecting a financial return from people who work with us. But we would like them to stay engaged. And honestly, I would love to be able to train some of these participants to be BuildaBridge teaching artists and staff member down the road. In terms of administrative capacity, I'm the only full-time employee. We have about 10 to 20 teaching artists with us, depending on the workload. But the workload can be inconsistent depending on partnerships and availability of funding. And so, you know, if we're not providing enough work, it's hard to have an impetus for teaching artists to stick around with us. And lastly, because of our reduced capacity, that we want to be able to document what we're doing better. And so when we do have documentation, because a lot of it falls on me, it's hard to process that documentation fast enough. But here's where we are, and this is where you come in as designers and participants for tonight, and which makes me so unbelievably excited, is this. How might BuildaBridge attract and engage new participants to accessible and safe art programs while maintaining the quality and excitement of the art making experience? How might we keep new students coming back? And you'll have access to this presentation afterwards to be able to review that question. And that's really the mountain we're going to climb tonight together. And I'm really excited to, we're all excited for this to be happening. So closing out things, really our hope-infused future. So it's not just as individuals we want to have hope-infused futures, but also as an organization. We want to have a diverse roster of teaching artists that exemplifies Philadelphia's diversity. We want to see increased funding to be able to add more employees to do the admin work. We'd like consistent programming partners. Too often budgets disappear or money is used up or people decide that once was enough from funding sources. We'd like to see our programs fully attended, 10 to 15 people in every workshop. And we want more of the public to be aware of our mission and action. We'd like to have a dependable revenue stream. We don't want to always be expecting that foundations and donors support us, but I think there's value in the work that we have and that organizations and corporations could pay for BuildaBridge to do programming. We'd like to see a shift in how the public interest looks at well-being, and especially as art being a holistic form of this. And lastly, it'd be great to partner with a university or some kind of education institution to provide continuing education credits from PD workshops. And not to say we haven't done that before, but we'd like to have a more stable relationship. So thank you for listening. And I'm going to leave you with our closing. And if I could invite everybody to come off of mute for just a second, or to mute and unmute. But what we say at the end of our programming always is to, PD is professional development. Thank you for asking. But we say this, I wish you to have the good life that you deserve. And I truly hope that all of you are having the external and internal resources and the I haves, the I ams, the I cans to do that. And if you're also a part of communities, fostering that. So you're all welcome to say that to one another. I know it's hard for eye contact on these things, but look at that screen, look at that gallery view, and to say, I wish you to have the good life that you deserve.
I wish
you to have the good life you deserve.
You deserve.
Wish you all to have the good lives that you deserve.
Life that you deserve.
Wish you to have good life you deserve.
So thank you, everybody. I'm going to pass the proverbial conch shell to PhillyCHI, and let's go from there.
Alrighty, thank you so very much, Ami, for that awesome presentation. And just want to circle back and make sure everyone remutes themselves, just so we don't have any extraneous background noise. Thank you. So now, Chong, if you could hit me with the slides again, please. Where's my lovely assistant? One moment.
Sorry, just 1 second.
Yep.
You see it now?
Yes, thank you so very much. Alrighty, so how to breakout rooms. So you are going to be automatically, if you're a participant, you'll be automatically joined into or put into a breakout room, which is basically a smaller Zoom meeting where you'll be able to collaborate on this exercise with the other attendees. While you're in that room, you can click on the Ask for Help button, and that'll be just like on the bar below where you would see chat and kind of all that fun stuff. So if you click on there, one of the hosts will answer you while you're in the breakout room. Ami and Chong will be hopping in and out of breakout rooms for 2 minutes max to answer any questions as well. And then as time runs out, you'll see a countdown, and when time is up, you'll be automatically moved back into the main Zoom room. All right, and I will pass it over to Christine.
Hello, I am Christine Cuniff and I'm the Vice Chair of PhillyCHI, chiming in. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the Design Slam rules tonight. So as Michelle said, slammers will be placed into breakout rooms. Your team's assigned Miro board, use your team's assigned Miro board that's associated with your team number to collect and visualize your ideas. Please do not cheat by checking out other teams' boards. We frown on that, don't do that. You will have 60 minutes for slamming. We know we're running a little bit behind schedule, so we'll adjust things on our end, but we still want to give you that full hour to work out a solution. Resources for the slam are linked in your team's Miro board, so you'll have access to Ami's slides, some of the problem statements, the core challenge, and some important context. So you'll be in that room for an hour. Once we hand things off, you'll come back into the main room for a presentation time. So each team will present their team's solution, and we're asking for 1 or 2 representatives from each team to speak during this time. We don't want to overcomplicate it by inviting everyone to speak, but we need 1 or 2 core people from your team to represent your solution and articulate it to everybody. Last but most important rule, have fun, be creative. The Design Slam solutions will be judged by a few pieces of criteria. They will be judged for creativity, feasibility, suitability, and presentation. And solutions will be judged by an amazing panel of judges. So we have 3 key players from BuildaBridge. We have Ami, Zane, and Natalie, who will be watching the presentations and scoring based on the criteria mentioned. We also have Megan Moser, former PhillyCHI member, Kim Torres, and Colleen from last year's People's Choice winning team. Before we get started, does anyone have questions either about how this will work, logistics, any questions for me and other BuildaBridge people? I see. How do we access the Miro board? So we have a set of links. I see. How does it work for observers? So observers will stay in the general room. We're going to be having an Ask Me Anything session where we'll be answering any of your burning questions about UX, working in UX, being a part of the PhillyCHI board. You can ask us our favorite colors and favorite animals. We don't care, we'll answer you. What are the professional dev workshops that you run? We are not a professional developer organization. We do not run developer workshops. But we're running this design workshop and it's happening right here. So links to the Miro boards. Oh,
that
sorry.
question was for me.
Got it. Please specify if your question is for me, because I don't know how to answer it.
So I kind of glazed over pretty quickly, but the idea is, how do you incorporate the arts into your professional world? And generally we're working with social workers, teachers, artists, and what we're trying to do in the next few months is to offer, and a lot of it is asynchronous learning opportunities to study the foundations in trauma-informed art making. And that's kind of going through our theory of change and how we do what we do and why we do what we do. And the other offerings we're trying to do are arts and healing. And that's kind of an introduction to the creative arts therapy. So movement, dance, singing, and art therapies, and kind of the concepts behind that. and then the other one was arts and education, and kind of looking at how do we use arts and education, and not teaching art, but how do we use arts in educational spaces. And then lastly, I mentioned that we're doing a series of self-care workshops called the Arts of Self-Care. And the Arts of Self-Care have been used primarily for human service providers, but it's applicable to any organization that's looking to promote better well-being of their employees through art making. And so that's also something that we are offering currently. We hope to have some more course offerings. BuildaBridge has a very, very deep history of offering these arts-based courses, and so we're hoping to be able to return to that over the next couple of years.
Excellent. I see the question, how do we know what team we're on? Attendees who have registered as participants or as slammers for this event have been pre-assigned into rooms, so you will be placed in breakout room automatically. That will give you your team number. Okay. Any other questions before we get started? I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with. Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Excellent. Okay, so let's call it, let's say it's 7:25. We'll see you back in the general room at 8:25. You have an hour. You will be stopping in your breakout rooms for 2 minutes each to answer any questions that you may come up with. Please use the resources that you've been given to access information that you might need, and we'll see you on the other side.
Awesome, great. So just to reiterate, we are going to be doing the presentations, and just in the interest of time, we've cut out the Q&A portion. So the presenters, you'll be doing your presentation as previously planned. You'll have 3 minutes. I'll be the timekeeper, so I'll try to kind of gently whisper or say when you have 1 minute left, just to give you a little bit of a heads up. But if you are ready, let us start with team 1. And whoever is or are the spokespeople for that team can go ahead and present. And please feel free to share your screen with the Miro board. Is team 1, is that you, Angel, or no?
Yeah, I think Alyssa is going to take herself off mute maybe to present.
She's back.
Yeah, sorry.
All good.
Having a little bit of technical difficulties. Does one of you want to share the Miro board on your screen? Or
So I can do that. It's Christine. Let's see if this, I think this will work. No, it didn't work. It's not recognizing my Chrome for some reason.
I will do it. I can do it.
Thank you.
Can everyone see?
There it is.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
okay, are we ready to start?
Yep, ready when you are.
Okay. So this project, the problem provides some interesting challenges, mainly that a lot of the audience that the BuildaBridge targets doesn't necessarily have access to internet, doesn't necessarily have a home address. And so we wanted to make sure that there's accessibility and that the solution that we came up with would address all of the community rather than just a portion of the community. So we came up with an idea of making boxes that would encompass an art type therapy activity. And then the boxes would be put in central locations, kind of like a little lending library. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but Philly in particular has a bunch of little libraries where books are placed and people come and take books and then put in books that they want to share. And so if we could get a central place where people could access these kits that would include, you know, instructions, maybe supplies, dance sequences, music recommendations, then BuildaBridge would have access to their current audience as well as a new audience. And kits could be dropped off at shelters, soup kitchens, community centers, places where people congregate as a community. These places are still mostly open during COVID. And so BuildaBridge would have an opportunity to put in information about their philosophies, about how to access the workshops that they currently provide.
1 minute, Alyssa.
Thank you. And for example, their Instagram tag to build kind of a roots, a roots community and get out their ideas. So that was kind of the idea that we came up with.
Awesome. Anything else to add real quick? Got a few seconds left here.
I do not, no.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, thank you very much for sharing. And we can scoot on over to team number 2.
Who wanted to share it? Elle, did you want to do it? Not to put you on the spot.
Is there another team member who might want to share as well?
I can share.
Okay.
Or as internet allows. Actually, no, I can't. Elle or Colleen, can you share?
And maybe someone can share the screen, and Britt, if you want to speak to it.
Let me see if I can share, and then maybe you can speak.
There we go. Okay. And I'm ready when you are. Don't know who, Britt, I think, is going to be speaking, right?
Oh, but I will. Our concept name that we came up was also #BuildACommunity. And basically what it is a digital expansion to a physical experience. And so when we looked back at the problem statement and also heard from the BuildaBridge community representatives, we heard that since COVID, their participation has been down and they're kind of having issues getting the retention. So getting the people that are there coming back to want to kind of harness the environment that they were able to do physically before COVID, but sort of in a different way. And so what this is basically is what we were thinking. It would be an experience where perhaps there will be learning modules that the teachers can kind of tap into, and that could be provided for participants. And so whether they want to, do watercolors or whether they want to do yoga, the teachers can prepare this plan, and leveraging a platform like Teachable or any of the various platforms out there, the students can kind of do it in their own time and in their own comfort of the home. So as I said, the target users are students who want a sense of connectedness to the art therapy community, but on their own time and within their own physical space. So we know that one of the pain points were basically the digital fatigue, right? But we're still countering that by, again, giving these students the freedom to kind of do their own education on their own time and in their own space. And if they're willing, they can kind of share that with the larger community, hence the community aspect of it. If they kind of want to be inspired or just sort of see how other people are tackling different topics that the classes at BuildaBridge has. And off to the side is just sort of our little visual that we came up with. Again, we're trying to harness the physicalness, again, that the BuildaBridge community provided, but just perhaps in a more digital space, but with the importance of building the community digitally, and then also doing the classes and participating in art therapy in a different way in their own homes. That's it, unless another team member had something to add that I might have missed.
You have about 1 minute left too.
Like on top of that, we just wanted to, incorporate the type of trends that judging by the type of user description, the Gen Z use. So we were kind of, next steps would be, maybe incorporating social media campaigns and ways to spread information through their peers to get more people to join. Hence the hashtag.
Awesome. Does that do it for you? All good?
Perfect.
Team 2? Fantastic. Thank you very much for presenting. All right. Scooting over to Team 3. Who will be presenting? Who will be speaking? Chelsea. Okay. Great.
Hello.
Ready when you are.
Wonderful. So Pathway is an extension of the BuildaBridge website. So we wanted to, similar to Team 2, we wanted to have a retention platform. So we wanted to have previous workshop participants and primarily public individuals who were just coming across BuildaBridge. We want them to be able to access resources, connect with the community, and stay involved with the organization, because hopefully in the future, they can provide more resources to help BuildaBridge grow and expand. So we're looking to target individuals who have already participated and who want to continue to have that relationship with BuildaBridge. And now we're going to have Liz walk through our page sketch.
Hi, so we envision Pathway as an additional page to the BuildaBridge website. I wrote Connect on there. We changed the name to Pathway. And that's basically where previous participants of the workshops can come back to the website and re-access the resources that they were given through the workshop. So they could, print things out. If it was a Zoom call, like the Tones of Home, they could perhaps re-access the recording or find new creative prompts to help them with their creative expression from home. Because of COVID, it's really difficult to meet in person or have in-person workshops. We also,
and to piggyback off of what Liz was saying, they can print off information and then they can also bring that information into the group and the community through the joining the group option. And so it's really creating this digital but also physical experience at the home, like Liz was saying, in the safety.
Yeah, we were trying to consider the fact that not every participant might have sustainable or constant access to the internet. So we were thinking maybe they could just go to the Pathway page, print something out quickly and take it with them, and use whatever materials that they have on hand as well for their creative expression.
And under 1 minute, Team 3.
We also were thinking that Pathway could extend into a Slack group or a Facebook group to encourage the community building as well. And if you could show like the filter section, participants could go and find resources according to what specs they have in mind. We were also thinking that Pathway would include the blog section of the website just to better integrate, you know, the connection between the workshop materials themselves and people talking about what they learned from the workshop.
In addition to that, we also wanted to have a CTA to have an opportunity for people to volunteer for the organization, so they could say, we're looking for people who are data analysts who can help us track how individuals are finding our workshops, or we want people who can do crowd control and really kind of source within the community to be able to support the community to move forward. And that is Pathway.
Awesome. Right on time. Thank you very much, Team 3. Appreciate it. Okay, Team 4, you're up. Who will be presenting? Who will be speaking?
Hi, I'm Grace, and I will be presenting.
Awesome. Hi, Grace.
And speaking.
Great. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, the screen is sharing according to what I see, and we are ready to present.
Alrighty.
Okay, so based on BuildaBridge's problem statement, we wanted to focus on participants who are art makers, their retention, teaching artists retention, and for this project to also be more accessible due to limitations of operations from COVID. And so our concept is Art for a Community Transformation, which stands for Build-A-Bridge Act. And we landed on this solution because we wanted to be able to incorporate a way for art makers to be commissioned and involve the community at large as well. So what our potential solution is a community projection. So to the right are a list of 4 items providing logistical details for how this project would run. So ideally, art makers would voluntarily participate by submitting photos of their works. And then these submissions would be handed over to teaching artist volunteers who are sort of the designated person to in charge of reserving a community wall space like you see here. And on that wall will be projected an autoplay of photos that people have created of their artwork. And so because this is a shared gallery, a shared community space, people can enjoy it on both ends. So the art makers are able to participate in their therapy, but also share the impact of that with the community at large. And this is also a great way to serve as social media content, as we had discussed with the board members of—
1 minute, Grace.
Okay, one of the board members with BuildaBridge, that 2 of the main ways they're able to recruit and also get their word out is with word of mouth and also social media. So this project can have a lifespan beyond this circumstance. So we could have live art demos, mini residencies, other commissions, and it's a collaborative gallery space. And overall, it's meant to be a place of celebrating shared humanity so we can improve mental health, retain both artists and teaching artists, and to also make sure that we are involving potential people who could join BuildaBridge.
Fantastic. Awesome. Also right on time. Thank you so very much for sharing. Thank you. All right. Team 5, we're on to you. And who will be speaking and who will be sharing?
Ariel and I will be speaking about it. I'll be sharing my screen.
Awesome. Let me know when you're ready.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I want to talk about the process a little bit about what we came out with and why. So the focus that we kept coming back to is what's the problem we're trying to solve, right? So for BuildaBridge, it's to attract and engage new participants and to keep new students as well. So our process was coming up with a bunch of ideas. And they're sort of listed here, and you can see them there. But what we came back to is that a lot of these users are low income. While they may have phones, they may not have great internet access. So our proposed solutions sort of took that into consideration. And here it is. Ariel, do you want to speak to it? Okay, I'm not sure if she's on mute or not. I'll continue this part.
No, here I am. Sorry, that was me. You can keep going. I mean, I'll keep going. So what we talked. Sorry, guys. We talked about with somebody from BuildaBridge about how the partner agencies are not getting the participants that they need. So we were thinking about what's happening during COVID. Is the fact is that the only places that people are going are to maybe food banks, to the unemployment office, or to other human services things. So what we were thinking was, we're calling it the art life movement. And what we want to do is meet the need where the need is. So we wanted to look at strategic locations, and what we thought was, let's run an art workshop. Let's show people, let's get people involved. You know, when a crowd gathers, more people come up to see what's going on. And then as we run, you know, a short little workshop, maybe indoor, outdoor, safer for COVID, we would like to have giveaways that, of course, have a call to action with a QR code that will bring, it should drive the participants of this kind of mini workshops to the site.
Bit under 1 minute left.
Okay, so so we did a little visual. This is kind of the artists putting up a kind of road show, maybe while people are waiting for 4-8 hours at a food bank. They could come over, and I love to throw some glitter on a piece of paper. Glitter just makes people happy. And this is what we thought, that we're just gonna take it to where the people are. And this is where we're thinking that people are at this time. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so very much, Team 5. And up next, Team 6. Who will be presenting? Who will be speaking? Team 6, you might be on mute.
Sherry, Alan, Sebastian, any of you want to go?
So I'm happy to speak, but I don't have Zoom on my laptop. It's on my phone, so I can't present what's on my screen.
Sherry, it's up. I shared it.
Awesome. So we also kind of took a step back and tried to focus on what the target problem was, which was connecting to potential participants. So we had thought that in order to connect to potential participants, we needed a two-prong approach. So we wanted to use media channels that both focused on the participants, but also focused on the potential partners. And in using both Instagram and LinkedIn, we would be able to do that. So within LinkedIn, we would focus more on the potential partners, Instagram on the potential participants. So we really wanted to reimagine the impact of stories. So if we could create a new approach or an updated approach to the way that we were doing our content marketing, that way we'd have a story that really presented the impact of a participant experiencing one of these sessions, and what that has helped them to do. So really engaging potential participants, and then connect that story to LinkedIn in a way that we're highlighting kind of the outcomes that we're driving in general, as well as adding a little bit more of the research to support why somebody might want to engage in this methodology, and how the structure of the workshops really contributes to that outcome. So thinking through a new kind of marketing campaign to be able to reach potential participants as well as potential partners, and communicating to them in a more compelling, using more compelling language with distinct calls to action, was the approach that we discussed in terms of being able to connect to potential participants as well as potential partners.
1 minute, Sherry.
So I'm not sure if anybody else on my team had anything else to offer.
I think just to add that, yeah, if you want to make it more about the stories of the people who got to participate in the program. So this one, we pulled it out of the Instagram, the drum circle, but then the story was actually pulled out of something from Humans of New York, which was quite relevant about, we just changed it around to be about the art program instead. It was actually about bibliotherapy. So something like that, that's much more heartfelt, and then more into a call to action for people to join would be, yeah, more powerful. Thanks, Sherry.
Wow, every single team is right on the nose with the 3 minutes. I love it. So next we have, thank you, Team 6. Next we have Team 7. Who will be sharing? Who will be speaking?
I think I'm going to be speaking. It's Jim, and Kat is going to be sharing.
Great.
So we started with a couple of high-level concepts. One was that, the overarching theme was art making. And then we thought about ways people engage both digitally and in person. And we wanted to have something, one of the ways to combat digital burnout is to look at what people do spend hours of time voluntarily on their computers doing, and that's gaming. So we definitely wanted to have some sort of a gaming aspect. And we saw with like Pokemon Go and those kind of games, the ability of gaming and working together on a puzzle to bring people together. The other thing that we had in mind was sort of breakout, escape rooms rather, where you got people together, and the object of the game was to solve a puzzle, but it was collaborative. It wasn't the competitive in the way a lot of video games are. So we had this idea of artistic superpowers, and the idea would be to create something artistic. So there was no real end goal. The end goal was just something that everybody thought was cool. And each person would have different superpowers that they could they would either get from the beginning and could sort of develop as they went along, or that they could pass around, almost like the conch shell idea, where, if you were doing the singing superpower, you would contribute some music, or if you had the picture superpower, or the the graphic superpower, or whatever. And there might be part of this that would also have a tie-in for partners. And Kat, could we go down to the stickies? So we had all these different components that we thought could go in there, and we wanted the limiting element and the collaborative element and the fun element to be something more like a game of hot potato, where you get something on your phone and you have a certain amount of time to contribute it, and then it passes on to the next person. But as you take your turn, each person can see the whole thing taking place on their phone. And the phone would use whatever was available, cellular data, Wi-Fi, and the things that were getting shared would be individual components like little song samples or voice samples or symbol blocks. So they would be easy to share even in a low bandwidth environment. And there might be this component with partner buffs, where if a partner was coming in to provide something special, maybe if it was an artist, that would be samples of the artist's music. or if it was a visual artist, that might be pieces of that artist's painting, or if it was like a university, it might be some, their mascot or their logo, some sort of thing that was specific to the partner and yet became part of the creative process. And when it was all over, you would have this canvas, and you would have the ability of everybody to look at what they had done and explore what they had done. And you would also have something sort of cool and excellent that everybody had contributed to. So I think that was our overview. Kat, was there anything you wanted to add?
And we're just out of time, so this would be like the final comment.
Nope, you covered it perfectly. The idea is a lot of folks participating in the service do have cell phones and are desiring to connect in new ways with digital burnout. So kind of adding this feature of connectivity with Hot Potato and connecting people could be a way to go.
And it could work in person or remotely, synchronously or asynchronously.
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much, Team 7. Okay, over to Team 8.
Yep, that's us. I'll be sharing.
Okay.
All right. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so our team thought of a concept. It's called BuildaBridge Buddy Toolkit, and it's kind of like a choose your own bridge art toolkit to take with you anywhere, off-grid or online. And who we are designing for are our partners. BuildaBridge's partners. And they include community-based organizations, universities. And so what this toolkit aims to do is equip organizations with all the resources that they need to facilitate meaningful art workshops separately or together. And so it is like a choose your own adventure that leverages BuildaBridge's existing material and content, which we really loved and found inspiration from, and also making it accessible and engaging, which is something that they were concerned about. And so it allows partners to customize the art therapy session based on their needs and resources in an offline and online kind of journey that we'll go through in the prototype. And partners can choose from 4 art metaphors that would engage in different senses so that their stakeholders can make meaning of whatever unique experience that they went through that was traumatic. And this is also aimed to promote a new way of building community engagement. And that's why we're calling it a buddy, so that partners can become buddies and promote or advertise it to other partners. So Ian, if you can walk us through the toolkit for one of these art metaphors that we're thinking of.
Exactly. So the way that I drew it up here is we're dealing with both a physical and digital space. We can also thinking about accessibility. We didn't want to limit people whether they didn't have access to digital media or not. So depending on how you found them through either a Facebook ad, email outreach, or something like that, or a mailing letter, you would then go through a survey questionnaire based around what your organization would most likely want to have involved with their therapy program.
1 minute, Ian.
And you would get their toolkit that would be filled with questionnaires, prompts, things of that nature, comment cards. If you had music, it would be like instruments, like a rattle or something like that. And then a follow-up survey to pass out to the participants so that way you'd be able to get information about how it went and feedback about a request for allyship.
And our impact that we hope to have is that partners actually feel empowered to design their own art therapy with the coaching and resources and expertise of BuildaBridge. And how we might know that it's successful is like increased demand. Maybe there's requests for more customization of the different art therapy practices since we start off with 4, more social media engagement, and partners wanting to sustain partnerships with us through different formats like this. And we're done.
All right, right on time. This is amazing. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right. And last but not least, Team 9, come through. Team 9, you might be on mute.
Sorry about that. I will share my screen.
should be seeing my Figma screen.
Yes.
Okay, so we went into this, design slam trying to really design for the problem, and we narrowed down the problem to 3 main things: getting new participants, participant retention, and creating a community during these times. So initially when we went to solve for that problem, number 1, which is getting new participants, we wanted to go to a user group that was not previously mentioned, but was also struggling during these times. And so we went for single parents who are overloaded. I'm sure there's many parents in the audience and know. And then we wanted to, create a solution for them where they can follow and BuildaBridge's, activity space, which they mentioned number 1 was manifest a comfortable space for themselves, which is so challenging. And we actually spoke to BuildaBridge, and they told us a story about a mother who was delivering food with their child because the mother had to make ends meet, but also couldn't afford daycare for this child. So we wanted to come up with a solution for this mother that would improve her life and improve her sanity. So we have created this app, which you see on the screen, which creates a safe space for this mother or single parent and allows them to take time for themselves. So you can see over here, there is an alarm that they set for themselves. And during this time, they will be doing a random or chosen activity that has to do with art and allows them to create space and express themselves. And so that's them taking time for themselves. We also wanted them to be able to build community. And so we wanted to do a sharing platform, and we kind of did like a streak system. So if this single parent does these small art activities for 4 days a week, they can share it with their community.
1 minute, Jessica.
Thank you. And then continue building, and the prompts that are given can, prompt this mother or parent to, bring out the whole art kit, or it can also, be as small as like folding a piece of origami that they find in their car, like a receipt. It really gives them the power of choice. And then we also wanted to help BuildaBridge create retention. So also on this app, we have an easy scheduling system for them to actually, participate in the classes, find new workshops, and meet in person. It kind of covers all of the bases that we wanted to cover with affirmations, doing the activity and incorporating art. And then it's also like the ability to incorporate their child within the art project that they do. So if anyone else on the team has something to add, please jump in.
And that would be the kind of last final statement. We're out of time. But I will, if someone else has one more thing to add, then feel free from the team. Alrighty, cool. Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you very much, Team 9. Beautiful. So now the judges will leave to deliberate. Dun, dun, dun. And we will be putting them in their own room so they can do that. So Ben and PhillyCHI, I think it's Ben, let me know when that is completed, and we will kind of go through our wrap-up slides here.
Yeah, give me 1 second, Michelle.
Of course, yeah. And then Chong, if you want to start throwing those slides up. Beautiful. And I will hand it over to Lorraine to chat about our upcoming events.
Yep, so our next event is in October. We are going to be working with Guru on this one, so look for our announcement about that. And then in November, we have World Usability Day coming up. Okay. We would like to devote a couple minutes to what we call job time, where we give those who are looking to hire talent, an opportunity to share share any job descriptions you have. And for those who are looking for a job, you can share a little bit about yourself. Because we're already a little bit over time, it might be best to throw those links into the chat. So if you have any links to a job description that you could share, please share that in the chat. And if you are someone who's looking for a UX job, feel free to share like your LinkedIn profile if you feel comfortable doing that. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you so very much, Lorraine. And I'm going to be announcing our raffle winners. Let me just pull up the names here. I see everyone putting in their LinkedIn links in the chat, so folks feel free to take a look there as well while I announce these. So we've got 3 books that we are giving away today. The first one is on service design, and the winner of that book is going to be Suki. And Suki, we will link up with you. Let me just make sure. Suki, are you here? Oh, there you are. Great. So we'll be linking up with you just to find out where we can send that, kind of all that fun stuff. Winner number 2 is going to be winning a book regarding validating product ideas through lean user research. And the winner of that is Kristen Alarcon. Are you here, Kristen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Cool. So we'll reach out to you so that we can send you over that book. And the third winner is winning a book regarding practical design leadership in order to elevate your team. And the winner is Sheetal. Are you here, Sheetal? Let's see. Sheetal, you're on mute. I see you though. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hello.
Hello. Cool. So we'll be reaching out to get your information and send that book over to you.
Great. Thank you.
Of course. Yep. Chong, do you want to announce?
Yes, I'm more than welcome to announce it and really eager to say it. Are you guys ready to hear this? So the winner for this year is I'm loving this moment. Is Team 8. Woohoo! So I was asking who sir is Team 8 board member. We gonna contact you right away after this event. But I have the medals for you guys too, so I can send you along. I can send you to like this medals. So you have like PhillyCHI Slam. Oh God, where's that? PhillyCHI Slam award, and you are awesome. So thank you so much, Team A, for these these ideas and the solutions. I might ask Amy to talk about it more. What's the reason why Team 8 got selected? Amy is still here.
Yeah, thank you. So really, Team 8 across the board kind of nailed the judging rubric, but more importantly, in terms of the outreach and accessibility and taking into account digital burnout, I think it's something that is definitely attainable. I do want to give a shout out to Team 1 as well, because conceptually it was also very, very close to what has been very nebulous to us, but you all brought it down to earth for us in a very special way. So I think I just want to say thank you for keeping in tune with what those needs were of trying to get to the people, trying to meet them where they are, and hopefully creating opportunities and pathways to engage with us. but more importantly, like even if they don't engage with us, they're still getting something out of it. So it's a win-win if they get their hands on one of those toolkits.
So Team 8 members, we don't have their lists anymore. So if you are a Team 8 member, can you drop your emails in the chat so we can track you guys down? So before this, I'm gonna wrap it up. And again, this is awesome, everyone. Thank you for sticking along. I would cannot say how grateful we are during this event, and thank you for be part of this. Stay connected and stay healthy and stay safe. Okay, so we see you all in next event pretty soon. All right. Team 8 member, can you stack along? I need to take a photo of winner.
Thank you, everybody.
Amazing job, everyone. Thank you. So great. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you again.